drop! Get off the road! Clearly, you don't own an air fryer. Indeed.
This just keeps on getting worse for
Let's
me.
go!
Trevor, how does it feel to be the world's most toxic gamer?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Goobers and Screens book club. I am the Rat, and I'm here with Kyle. I had to modify the intro a little bit there. Say hi, Kyle.
Hi.
I can't remember what I used for Goobers and Screens book club, so that's going to be it. It's going to be Modified Rat's Nest. Hello, and welcome back to Bleach. We're back. For you guys, it's only been a week, because this will be going up a week after episode 3 of book club, which was Soul Society Part 1. But now we're here again with Soul Society Part 2.
And
how crazy
for
is
us,
that?
3 to 3.5
Three and a half months. To date the videos, we are recording this on January 6th. We recorded the last one on September 21st. But we're back. I love Bleach. I really enjoy this series. And I will try my best to remember everything, since it has been 3.5 months since I read it.
Yeah, that's a little bit of prefacing. He read all this the night what we're about to talk about. He read all this the night that we recorded the last one. It took me a while. I had varying interest in Bleach, but I have caught up. I really enjoyed this section. Sorry it took so long for Brandon specifically, because for you guys it won't make much of a difference. But yeah, we're finishing up. Oh wait, no. Okay, sorry.
Not finished with the second part 2 of Soul Society.
Oh no, I thought. Sorry, because I know in the wikis they break it up into like Soul Society : some subsection. But this is the first of the rescue. So
yes, so here we
a
are.
lot.
We're gaming a little bit.
A lot has happened in this section, so I'm gonna be looking at my notes. I'm gonna try to remember everything. So I'm sorry if this discussion does not have all of the relevant information from Bleach. So let's just get right into it, shall we?
Let's get right into it. I'll let you lead.
Yep. So the first bit, what happened after last time, is two things. One smaller and one bigger. The small thing is we get introduced to Jushiro Udatake. That's probably not how you pronounce it. He's the 13th. He's the 13th co-captain introduction, or he's the captain of the 13th company, right?
Yes, Udatake. That's right. That is his name, and then I had to jumpstart my memory there.
Yeah, we get introduced to him, and then from the cliffhanger the last time, Ganyu, Hanado, and
Hanataro.
Rukia. I don't know why I have Hanado there.
It was funny. You can't remember his name. Like it said specifically, like you have a really plain name that's hard to remember.
Yeah, so it's those two and Rukia. They're all on the bridge when Byakuya shows up to put Rukia back in the cell, and then Hanado and Ganyu decide to try to stand up against Byakuya, and then that section I believe cuts off for a bit. It was interesting, just to have like the bombshell of, oh shit, Byakuya's here, because from what it seems like, Byakuya's like one of the top strongest of the captains.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to look at the how differently the captains are portrayed, because you have someone like the 13th guard captain, right, Udatake, who is introduced as very much like a regular guy, right? He's kind of sick, right? He's just a normal guy, basically, right? Whatever. Versus Byakuya, who ever since his introduction has been this enormous, threatening presence. There's something different about this guy. Even different captains who are introduced similarly, like Kenpachi, once we learn about them, we're like, okay. But Byakuya, we haven't learned anything about. That's the kicker, is he's remained this kind of wall that just comes through and like a storm just comes through, and you just can't beat him. And Kenpachi was kind of introduced in the same way, but he wasn't built up like Byakuya has been built up to be. And we meet some of the other captains too, and I think a lot of them are very. I really enjoy the captains. I like all of them. But no captain is built up like Byakuya, except for maybe Yamato, who I think that's his name, the captain of the first company. Because he's kind of built up, but also he has a different vibe to him. It's like, okay, this is an old seasoned warrior versus Byakuya, like, oh, this guy, he's just gonna fuck me up.
Yeah. The one thing I want to say, honestly, because I know in a lot of shonen they have like the teams, and in this case it's like all the captains of the Soul Society. It genuinely just feels like all these people, and I know that's how it is, but like the vibe I get is that they're all just individual people who work best alone, just kind of forced to be on a team all at once. And so it's not like a well-oiled machine. Every captain has their different like motive. They have their different wants and desires. Some like you get the word I would say, it's like a varied just sort of spectrum of the different personalities that they have. And I like Byakuya specifically. I always enjoy whenever he shows up because it adds a lot more presence to the scene. He
definitely has a presence. Yeah.
A lot more immediateness of there needs to be action taken now. So yeah, there's that. And then before that gets resolved, I believe it cuts back to Ichigo with at this point still Mr. Yoriichi. He gets saved after his fight with Renji, right? It's Renji.
He picks him up after his fight with Renji.
Yeah. And then we also see that he takes Ichigo's mask away, and then we get to see the true form. And I put in my notes, Yoriichi's true form, parentheses, sheesh, and
sheesh! I don't think I peeked there. I got pretty close. Looking at it, I don't think I peeked.
Your mic cut out on my end.
Awesome.
So yeah, because one of the things I knew about Bleach before going in was Yoriichi, because whenever I saw it was Mr. Yoriichi, one of the thoughts I had was like, oh, this is probably the Yoriichi that I know, posing as like a guy for some reason, which that was the case. It was a funny introduction, and after Ichigo senses Byakuya, and I forget it's like this. It's the flying tool that he uses to go there immediately.
Yeah, it wraps around his wrist, and it's like the wings. I can't remember the name of it. I can picture it in my mind.
Yeah, I know. I remember the scene where it's like leaving the cave. Yeah. Anyway, it cuts back to Ganyu holding off Byakuya, and we get introduced to the thing that makes him really scary. It's the 1,000 cherry blossoms.
Sinbon Zakura.
It's what?
Sinbon Zakura. Zakura, if you want to be technical with it. You can call it 1,000 cherry blossoms, but Sinbon Zakura is funnier.
Yeah, I'm going to call it that. And he absolutely decimates Ganyu, right?
Just lol. Are you standing here? Sorry, I don't think so.
You're standing upright? Not anymore. Mm-hmm. It's one of those anime attacks where it's like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like the EI Jutsu thing where it's like you immediately unsheath, put it back in. And kind of like what Zoro would do.
Yeah, funny Zoro, man.
It's like that. And then we see Ichigo show up. He's going to try to fight Byakuya, but Yoriichi knocks him out. Wait, no, okay, sorry.
Well, there's one thing that happens beforehand. Before Yoriichi gets there, Byakuya tries to use the same... Well, one, he meets back up with Rukia, right? First time they've seen each other since she got kidnapped, right? A while ago. Yeah. I remember whenever I watched this in the anime, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I love that. I still love that scene. I still love that scene so much. Where they get to see each other again. But then Byakuya is like this nerd. And he goes to use the same, like, I can't remember the name of the attack. It's like the flash step thing, right? He goes to use it on Ichigo. The same thing that took him out like before Ichigo could even know anything originally. But then Ichigo sees it and blocks it, and he looks at Byakuya and he's like, I can see your attacks now. And I was like, yo, okay. It's hype, dude. I was like, I got hyped during that. I was like, okay. He's grown. My boy, he knows more. He's stronger now.
It's a good moment to show growth. And I like that inclusion where, he goes for the exact same attack and Ichigo's like, I've grown so much, like I'm not going to fall for it before. Obviously, Byakuya has a lot more tools in store, but just as you said, that was a good moment to see.
It also shows that Byakuya he's not like unbeatable, right? He can be matched. He can be seen, right? This guy with the imposing presence and figure that we've seen this entire time, he shows vulnerability for a second, right?
Well,
He is surprised that Ichigo, he's caught off guard that Ichigo is able to see him at this point. Now, of course, he has a lot stronger attacks, but
More so.
it's like funny man. Slight spoilers for part 8. Whenever Wonder of You is hit for the first time, it's like, okay, this guy can be beat. It is possible, and we can get there. And I feel like with how Byakuya was built up, like all the other captains are like, it would be believable. Byakuya was like this wall. It's like finally we see a crack in that, and it's like, okay, it's possible. Ichigo can do this, just not right now. Just not right now.
I'd say the difference here, though, is, and this goes for Byakuya a lot, from all the scenes I can recall of him, plus what we're going to talk about in the future, Byakuya always, like, underestimates his... Not always, but Byakuya doesn't really expect much from his opponents, so he just kind of does, like, the lowest effort attack. So, yeah. Like, Ichigo blocked the lowest effort attack, and it's like...
But he blocked it. But he blocked it.
He did block it. That is progress. If nothing else, that is progress for Ichigo. And as you said, yeah, it's finally... Byakuya's not unbeatable.
Yeah.
It's really hard to beat him. It's not easy, but it's possible, and I feel like it's going to happen later in the future. So, yeah, we get that moment of reunitement. The one thing also in my notes, you might have to explain when this happened, but it's Renji speaking to Zabumaru, and it like takes on like an animal form to speak to him, like as a monkey.
Yeah. So the monkey form, right? Zabumaru is Baboon King. I think that's what it translates to. Yeah, that's the name of his Bankai, I believe, is Baboon King or something. Baboon Monarch. I don't know.
And he speaks to
like
Zabumaru.
that. So like thinking of Zangetsu, right? Ichigo's Senpakuto. Like the old man. Like that monkey is Renji's equivalent of the old man. And he appears to him whenever he's in the medical ward, right, being treated by the fourth group or whatever. And it's after he was beaten by Ichigo, and he's like, Ichigo isn't an enemy anymore, right?
Yeah, I put that in my notes. Renji says Ichigo is no longer an enemy. Like that's what he decides. And this was a long time coming, where we've seen that with Renji, where because back whenever they first initially abducted Rukia, like he was kind of all for it, and then we saw, okay, they have some backstory with each other, and then we see like during his fight with Ichigo, how he expresses the desire to want to save her. Like, do you want to save her? I believe is one of the questions he had for Ichigo, and then this is the culmination of that, where it's like, you know what, I can't. He's no longer my enemy. I gotta help him.
Like I have to help him. Like I can't keep. Like I need to help Rukia, and the way that I can help Rukia is through helping him. Right, and so then he builds up his willpower, and he takes his impact 2 gets up, right, and then we go to the next scene. I believe that was that scene. A good scene for his character. I like Renji. I think that he's a great character. I think that his character is different from the way he was introduced, because his original appearance was very different from how he turned out, I believe. But I still really like Renji.
Yeah, I enjoy Renji. Power scaling issues from last discussion aside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we cut back to, I believe it's the bridge scene, and Yoriichi shows up, and it's like, okay, Ichigo, I know you're getting excited here, but not this quick. You're
gonna die, like, easy. No class. Byakuya's gonna no-diff you, bro.
Yeah, so knocks him out, takes Ichigo and escapes, and we learned her nickname's like the Flash Master. So she escapes with Ichigo and says, all right, in the next 3 days, you're going to learn how to use Bankai, and you're going to be stronger than Byakuya. This is
like, bet.
One thing, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted on, not that it's a bad thing per se, it just seems odd how quick Ichigo can get stronger just in very small intervals. Like, it almost, as the plot needs it, not like a horribly bad thing. I understand that he has, similarly to Kenpachi, just a metric ton of spirit energy. I understand that. But I don't know how I feel. It's just like, oh, hey, in 3 days, not only can you master Bankai, but you're also going to be able to finally go fight Byakuya. So
Yeah. Now, I completely understand. The reason is that it was a technique developed by Kisuke that only Kisuke was able to successfully get Bankai with. So it was like a last-ditch hope.
Yeah, but...
Like, that was the explanation. But also, shonen protagonist magic, right?
It's protagonist
It's
privilege.
hype. It's hype, and I really like it, but I'm not going to defend it as great writing.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I'm at this point now with like reading shonen where I'll peel back the layers of like, okay, as hype as this is, it's still the protagonist just a privilege, but it's not horrible, but yeah,
It's not as bad as other places.
Oh
right?
no, not
and
at least
also as we'll see, like, I don't know if I should say this. It's not 100% perfect. I won't say anything yet. I'll wait until next section whenever we're recording. If you'll remind me, it's not perfect.
We'll hold.
You'll just have to remind me to talk more on that. It's not perfect.
Yeah, the one thing I always wished more in these cases is, and this might be what you're alluding to, I wish that there was some more immediate risk to what these trainings would do. Like, Kisuke could do it because Kisuke developed it and it was like made for him. You're not Kisuke, but if you could pull it off, this would be the drawback. I don't know, just more like a drawback to, in 3 days, surpassing Byakuya, whom we know is crazy powerful, and mastering Bankai. That seems like a lot. It's a lot to take in as the reader. Like, okay, yeah, sure, in 3 days he could do this.
It's also the thing of, like, they know what Byakuya can do, and Byakuya doesn't know what Ichigo is going to be capable of. So they have that element of surprise in there too.
They do. But still, we'll come back to this moment, as you said. I'll remind you, but we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
So, after that, Jushiro's Udatake. Yeah, Udatake's men show up. They put her back in the cell, and then we cut to Yuryu and Orihime. They're undercover, and oh god, we get to see Kurosuchi camouflage, and he's just following them and eavesdropping on them. I really like Kurosuchi as a villain, and looking at my notes, where there's like another scene or two that's before that, but I really, really like Kurosuchi as a villain. His design is great. Man, his personality is just it's enjoyable to read as a villain personality.
Yeah,
because it's one of those where it's like someone involved in like medical practices who's just unhinged. A JoJo comparison was part 5. Reminds me of Chocolata in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a very good way to create a very good villain. In some ways, I could say Kurosuchi isn't my favorite because of how, like,
he's
objectively evil he is. But I guess then also you could say, well, then it's just like, well, that's just the research department, and it's like, all facets are through the captains, right? So we get to see all different sides of the Soul Society. So it's like, like, I think he's an amazing villain, but like,
yeah,
I don't know, like to me, he almost always kind of felt out of place with the rest of the captains, as to just like how openly evil he is,
I mean, Gin,
like openly evil he is.
It's
like
very
openly evil he is. Gin didn't go around saying like, "Ooh, I love torturing people," or "Ooh, I ripped this guy's soul open and tortured him and made him feel every single type of pain ever imaginable 50 times over every second for 5 years."
Okay, quick question. Do we know how Kurosuchi became a captain?
Through one of the ways, I assume.
What I was going to say is the reason...
I mean, he's a genius. Don't get me wrong. The dude is a genius. He definitely deserves to be the top of the research development, right? Assumingly after... Okay, question. I can't remember. At this point in the story, do you know who was the previous captain of the research department?
I don't...
Okay, cool. So you don't know. So you'll learn later. You'll learn later.
I definitely might know, but not remember. That's the thing.
I don't want to say... If I'm reading, because I'm probably going to read the next batch of chapters tonight, right? If I don't read it there, I'll text you and be like, okay, this is who it is. But I don't want to spoil the reveal. Like
That's fair. Is it Aizen? I think it was Aizen.
I'm not gonna say, but
Okay.
what you
We'll
call
wait.
it? Like
It
it's
has
just whenever they left, it was or the position was left vacant. It was just like okay, like he was probably the vice captain or something. I don't know if with what I've seen it ever explains explicitly how he rose to the position, but just assumedly through one of the normal means.
Yeah, well, the one thing I was going to say about that is, and we can talk about this later, we learned that there are 3 methods of becoming a captain, and I think it's an interesting system, and it allows for a lot of captains that do feel out of place, because you're able to take position, like one of the ways is you can fight a captain with 200 other people present, and if you beat that captain in a fight, you become a captain. So maybe like that's...
Kenpachi, funny man.
Yeah, Kenpachi did it. I don't remember if Kenpachi's the only one to do it that way, but
I think at this point he's the only one we know. Like I don't know any other captains specifically that have done it that way. I think Kenpachi is the only one that I know how he became a captain.
Yeah, so we'll wait on like the backstory with Kurosaki. The most I could say with him, until we talk about his fight with Yuryu, because it's coming up soon. I like him as a villain, and I don't mind that he feels out of place, because it does show. You know, you could look at it at this angle of like the Soul Society. They're like they stand for like trying to think of a good wording for this, like not justice, but they're there to keep
like order.
Yeah, and it can show the Kurosuchi being allowed to be a captain can show the hypocrisy of like what they're standing for.
I mean, ultimately,
like,
he keeps order for the Soul Society.
He does, but it's in a very
he's just not a good guy.
It's a very twisted way in which he goes about it. So it's interesting to look at it from that angle.
Uh-huh.
So before we get back to him, because he's coming up like really soon, we cut back to Yoriichi and Ichigo. They're talking about like training and how the Zanpakutos have 2 different stages of quote unquote release. There's Shikai, which is I think the normal way that they've done it, and then Bankai. Kenpachi is the only one without Bankai, which we already knew, and that Bankai is 5 to 10 times stronger than Shikai. So if you're able to use Bankai, you will get a huge power boost.
Yeah. But not all Bankais are equal.
Not all Bankais are built equal. That's so true. One thing I want to say, a lot of the Bankai that I've seen are fucking broken, right? Like they're absolutely insane.
There's fun powers without Bankai. Like Byakuya's 1,000 petal, whatever. Like, that's not Bankai. That's Shikai. Dude. Like, that's not Bankai. That's not his Bankai.
I know that's not his Bankai, but that's absolutely insane that he can do that, not count it as a Bankai.
Ichigo's Shikai was whenever he learned Zangetsu's name, and it became like that funny curved sword. Like, that's his Shikai. He got stronger with his sword.
Yeah. So then, after this, we're at Yuryu vs. Kurosuchi. I always love it whenever shonens or just stories in general. I love whenever they have like a violent attack happen, and then they give like the backstory just to one of the people involved. Because what happens is Kurosuchi uses a grenade on Orihime, Yuryu, and some of the other people, and then I don't remember the full backstory, but we just get a backstory of one of the grenade victims of like, they just woke up, they just went about it like a casual day, and then they died today.
Yeah, and it was like just a background character living a relatively normal life, and then that's the tragedy of it,
Yeah, because it's only for one of them, but you could also just look at all the other people that Kurosuchi just violently killed, like without any.
It makes you realize like these aren't just fodder, right? I think that's respectable, because I think a lot of shonen authors will typically go to like, a character that murders some people. It's like, oh, they're just kind of fodder, but this is like, it makes you look at this like oh, like these were like guys that like trusted him, right?
Yeah, his own men. These aren't just throwaway. These aren't just one piece fodder like enemies that you can just throw off to the side and be okay with like killing or absolutely hurting. These are just innocent, or not innocent per se, but these are just people who trusted Kurosuchi, followed his orders, and just died because of it. Very, very sad. It sets up Kurosuchi very well as a villain.
Yeah.
And we also get a little showcasing that Orihime's improved her powers, but we get to the main part of it, Yuryu versus Kurosuchi. And I really like this fight. I enjoyed this fight a lot because this also, I'm trying to remember, Kurosaki was the one that he delayed the help that Yuryu's master got, like the medical, like after Yuryu's master did like some of the fighting, because he said, yeah, it took some of the soul, like the Reapers, a few hours to get there. Kurosaki was the one that actually delayed it, so we actually have Yuryu fighting the person who basically killed his master.
Yeah.
It was a wrap up to his backstory. What else is there? We know that we see that Kurosaki's like assistant, who abused and whatnot, that's his actual daughter, which was crazy to me.
Funny.
Just to see that. Yeah. Kurosaki experimented on many of the Quincy's. We get the full backstory with Yuryu, and I forget what this technique is called, but toward the end of the fight, we're going to talk about more of the fight as a whole, but just quickly looking over my notes. Yuryu destroys his glove for just a quick power boost. I forget what it is, or what it's called.
So, the glove, I can't remember what the glove is called. But it's a glove that, like, if you train with it, yada yada, for whatever, you unlock your latent Quincy powers.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's ever broken, then you experience an extreme influx of spiritual power, and then you lose your powers forever.
Yeah, so that was... He wanted to defeat Kurosaki so badly that's what he did. I don't remember Kurosaki's like primary powers, but I remember he pulled out like the giant poison spewing head for his Bankai, like an acid rain, and Yuryu just no diffed it. He just shot clean through it and obliterated Kurosaki.
I mean, it wasn't a no diff because he did sacrifice his powers forever, but basically,
he no diffed the giant poison spewing thing. But the tragedy of it is Kurosaki didn't even die. He just turned himself into liquid. He said, "I'm going to go from one state to another," and then he dipped.
Turned himself into a pickle. Funniest shit I've ever seen.
Sucks, because Yuryu threw away his powers. I assume he gets them back, but like he threw away his powers in that moment, and the villain didn't even die. It was just a unfortunate set of circumstances that made him risk his power to not even kill the bad guy.
Yeah. It's also a thing where, like, I really like this fight. I think it's a really fun fight, right? I like Uryu. I like Kurosaki as a villain. It's one of those fights that I'm, like, really on with the power scaling. We talked about it last episode. We're not going to talk about it a ton this episode.
Granted, the big difference here is it's the Quincy's, and, he destroyed his glove for, like, a power boost. And I forget who I think it's Tozen, but someone shows up and knocks out Yuryu. Like, a captain knocks him out.
Yeah, because Uryu, like, goes on and, like, tries to, like, walk upstairs, right? Because he's going up to save Rukia to meet up with the other. And, yeah, I can't remember who. It's 100% Tozen. Comes in, knocks him out.
Yeah, Tozen knocks him out. And we'll talk about Tozen later. But, yeah, so right now, after the fight with Yuryu and Kurosaki, we see Ichigo externalize Zangetsu in order to force him to submit, like, in the fighting. And then, I think right after that, who is Izuru? I had the name Izuru here. Because
Izuru.
Gin shows up, and he saves, I think it's his co-captain. He saves his co-captain from prison. And then after we get a little scene of Ganyu, Chad, and Yuryu all just unfortunately being held prisoner.
Can it be me?
Yeah, and then after that, we get a little discussion with them about what happened, how they got there, and what they're like just talking about. Oh, okay, this was a really fun moment. I liked Kenpachi with the 11th Squad sitting in the room with Orihime, and they're just Kenpachi like turned good. I don't know.
Dude, I love Kenpachi so much. He's a strong contender for my favorite character if it wasn't Ichigo, because Ichigo is the GOAT.
The reason I love Kenpachi so much here is Kenpachi's whole thing is, like, he doesn't really, good, bad, that doesn't really matter to him. He kind of follows his heart and just wants to fight strong people. He's a very simple character, but he's done so well.
He has done very well.
I'll gush about him later because he has some good fights coming up. But, yeah, so he and the 11th Squad, like the entire 11th Squad too, that's the crazy thing. It's not just Kenpachi. It's him and his squad show up, and they decide to all help Orihime because, they're following Kenpachi, and Kenpachi's like, I want to help Ichigo. Ichigo's not a bad guy. So
like I want to fight him again.
Yeah, he wants to help him to fight him again. That's a nice motivation to get him in here. Something like Gin and Rengiku have some history. Didn't really amount to too much right now. Renji and some of the others go missing from their cells. There's something about a Urahara. Do you remember what that is? Because
like I know the name. I'm trying to remember.
Because Yuri mentions it in regard to Ichigo.
Oh, Kisuke. Like that.
Oh,
like he's Urahara Kisuke. Like that's his name.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah. So, they talk about that. Hinamori, which is Aizen's like captain, escapes, and this is the moment where she got the letter from Rengiku. It was a letter from Aizen that Rengiku gave her. It's like, you're lucky we didn't like confiscate this. She reads it, finds out that
Aizen was going to confront
the killer, and the killer is Toshiro, and there's no way that Aizen is gonna come back. He's completely dead.
Aizen's gone. Aizen's out of the story. It's the funny meme of like, oh Aizen, oh ha 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 Aizen, but then he like amounted to nothing.
He's gonna come back, but so this, from what I know that Aizen's not a good dude, but from what I had to guess, this is Aizen deceiving Hinamori into thinking, Toshiro's my killer. Because from what I know about Toshiro's not a bad guy. He would not kill Aizen, at least not then.
Mm-hmm. Plus, Toshiro would be very shaken up by it, since Toshiro and Hinamori, they're friends. Like they have a back. Like they're friends, right? They've been together.
Yeah. After this, we see Ichigo. He completes his day one
from turning on him though. Lol.
It's not. But yeah, we get Ichigo completing his day one training, and this is where the Urahara thing comes back, because it's Ichigo and Yoriichi in the hot spring. That was funny. And then we get to see her explain her backstory with Kisuke. Okay, yeah, Kisuke was in charge of research. That was that was where I got it.
So Kisuke was the previous head of the research.
The 12th captain. He was the previous. He was the 12th captain.
Which I loved that. I was like, yo, because then you look at Kurosuchi and be like, so he came after Kisuke. So what's Kisuke up to?
Yeah, and it also gives a reason as to why Kisuke knows so much. Not only was he a captain, but he was in charge of like the research group that they had.
He's a smart guy. So it makes sense that if anyone, he would be able to come up with a method for attaining Bankai in 3 days. Yeah.
So that's another reason why it's like, okay, it's slightly better. It slightly dampens the blow.
Yeah.
And then next section, there's a lot to it. Basically, we see Toshiro confronts Gin, whom he thinks is the one that like killed Aizen. Hinamori shows up to try to kill Gin, and I forget who says it, but I think someone says, I think it was Toshiro or Rengiku, one of those. They say that Rukia's execution is just a ploy for someone to steal the Sokyoko, which is like the giant executioner spear that has the power of like a million.
I think that's Toshiro that says that.
Yeah, 1,000,000 Zanpakuto. Like it packs that much of a punch.
It's pretty strong.
And very strong. And we'll get to that later. But it's very powerful. They only bring it out for execution, so they're trying to have Rukia set up to be executed to steal the Sokyoko. And this is the reveal where we learn where it says Aizen said that it was Toshiro who's the culprit. Hinamori attacks Toshiro, and then we see Toshiro fight Gin for a minute before Rengiku shows up to protect her. And I forget how that scene resolves, but I believe
I'm pretty sure it was Unohana comes out, the 4th Division captain comes out and is like, cut it out.
Hey, quit it.
And they arrest believe they arrest Hinamori and Toshiro, or maybe they get away. I can't remember.
I think they arrested can't remember. I don't remember.
Hinamori probably at least.
Yeah,
I don't think they could arrest a captain.
I know the other captain, like nothing happened with the captains or Rengiku. Something happened with Hinamori. But anyway, Rengiku, yeah, there's that. Yoriichi decides, like, she's deciding if she wants to risk extending the training because they know, or the Rukia's execution is moved to tomorrow. So,
well, what it is initially, Yoriichi is like, okay, we have extra time because we're ahead of schedule.
oh
But
yeah,
then, I think it was Rinji shows up and is
he
like,
said-
"Hey, numbnuts, it's tomorrow, lol."
hey, numbnuts.
That's what he says. That's what he says, dude. I don't make the rules.
Wasn't ready for it, but yeah. So okay, yeah, that's what my note meant. Sorry, I wish I would have wrote that clearer for myself.
No, you're all good. I remember because I was like, oh yeah, that's neat, and then I was like, oh,
Yeah, like, oh cool, extra time. Oh no extra time.
oh
So-
bro.
Kind of feels like a weird way to artificially extend the deadline of like, oh, or like increase the danger where it's like, oh yeah, we have more time to, oh, let's move to tomorrow. Like, oh shit, but that's fine. Adds more tension, I suppose. So let's see. They move to tomorrow. Toshiro and Giku, they move to go stop the execution. Yeah, Renji tells them it's tomorrow, and then we get the backstory with Kaien Shiba. It was Ganyu's brother, where it was Rukia had to kill the possessed Kaien, and that's why Ganyu holds a grudge.
Yeah,
I like the backstory. I think it's of course it's one of those moments where it's like they introduce a character, it's like that person killed my family member, and then they reveal it later as, oh, that person was like possessed or not really them, like a case of mistaken murder, something like that. Whatever the trope is called.
But I think it's done well.
It was fine. Like I didn't dislike the section, but it was like obviously Rukia didn't kill this person in like the way that Ganyu interprets it. So yeah. Like had Ganyu been there, he would have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry for thinking that you did that," or like if he knew the full story. But it's whatever. So, oh yeah, okay. So, why did I just write Kenpachi? I put Zara. Kenpachi, yeah, Kenpachi, Orihime, and the 11th Company start moving.
I thought it was really funny whenever Orihime was just riding on his back like with Yachiru.
Hey, that was a funny scene. And then Yachiru just headbutts her and is like, we should go that way, God, Kenpachi's just like uncaring enough just to carry like two people on his back. That was funny.
Goated. He's the GOAT. Kenpachi's the GOAT, just simply.
My thoughts on Ichigo, like I have conflicted thoughts on him. Kenpachi's probably my favorite. I really like Kenpachi.
Yeah.
So we also see that Chad, Ganyu, and Yuryu were also they get rescued by Kenpachi. And then before we see anything play out with that, a few things happen. First, we see Yoriichi and Renji discussing Ichigo's quote-unquote instinct of like how quickly he's able to pick all this stuff up and master Bankai. So I thought that was interesting. You know, just two other characters talking about the main character, getting their thoughts on him. Always nice to have something like that. Oh god, more introductions to stuff. We get the 7th Company leader. It's a lot to keep track of, I'll be honest.
7th Company. Well, Tozen is 11, right?
No, 11's Kenpachi.
That's right. Kenpachi's 11. So Tozen then is...
Tozen's 8, I think.
Tozen is 8. Komamura. Is he 7? I'm trying. So let's just. So you have Yamamoto. Yamamoto is 1. Then you have Suifan.
I was just about to mention her.
Soifan. Soifan is 2nd. Gin is 3. Unohana 4. Aizen 5. Rest in peace. 6 is who's 6? Captain of the 6th Company. Captain of the 6th Company. Can't remember it off the top of my head. 7 is someone. Maybe Komamura. I can't remember. 8 Tozen. 9 maybe Komamura. 10 Toshiro. 11 Kenpachi. 12 Kurosuchi. And then 13 is what's his face?
Yeah.
His name? Ukitake. Ukitake or whatever his name is.
Oh, the 6th one is Byakuya.
Byakuya is 6, yes.
Okay,
Byakuya is 6. So Komamura, who am I forgetting? There's one captain I'm forgetting somewhere in there.
It's okay.
Komamura is either 7 or 9. That bugs me. Why can't I remember who it is?
Oh no, Komamura is 9 because I forget who it is, but in my notes it says the 7th Company leader and some random soldier are discussing like the execution before we get to.
So I think it's the flower petal guy.
Oh yeah, okay.
That fought Chad. Yep, he was the one I was forgetting. I cannot remember his name.
So then we get introduced to Soifon and Oimaida, which are the captain and co-captains of that. And then...
They're hot.
What?
They're hot. Like attractive.
One of them's a guy. One of them's a fat, smelly guy.
She's hot. Soifon's hot and attractive.
So then...
I was thinking of someone else.
Yeah, Oimaida is the assistant to her, like the assistant second. So anyway, this scene was really cool, where we get... I put 4 captains in my notes, but it's like 2 captains and 2 co-captains. They just jump Kenpachi, and Ikaku and another, like the other 11th co guy that chased Ganyu earlier in this arc, they go to fight the 2 co-captains. So it's Tozen and Komamura that are gearing up to fight Kenpachi. But before that, we get a section that I thought was pretty fun to read through. Renji versus Byakuya, where Renji uses his Bankai.
Yeah, his newly unlocked Bankai, might I add.
I really enjoyed this fight. There was a lot I enjoyed about it. I don't know. I liked some of the discussion that they had because, you know, it's the assistant captain going up against like the actual captain, and this arc kind of does a good job showcasing the difference in power of like assistant to captain to actual captain. There's some highlight moments in here. I like the one where Byakuya or Renji's like, I'm going to force you to kneel, Byakuya. And then he actually does. That was cool to see him actually show off some power with it. Again,
Byakuya is vulnerable. We're getting there. We're reaching Byakuya.
We are kinda. Byakuya busted out. I wrote this in because it just felt like another weird thing to include. He uses something called the destruction chant. I don't know. It just felt like another rule to the.
It's a thing of like we've seen Soul Reapers use spells before. They're not extremely common, but we've seen it before. Like Rukia used them relatively commonly at the beginning.
So then the other one that I had was Byakuya absolutely crushes Renji with his Bankai. Because isn't it just like 1,000 cherry petals, but like on steroids?
It's like 1,000 swords of 1,000 cherry petals. So it's like a million. That's just insane. It's insane.
That's all I can say. He gets absolutely obliterated. And this moment I really liked, where it was Byakuya talking to Renji and explained this thing. And I'm gonna actively go look this up real quick in the chat. I put the chapter down and I put where it was because this was I don't know. I thought this was a very interesting moment where at the end of the fighting, there's Renji exploding into blood, and he goes, Byakuya says, "Shall I explain the difference between you and me, class? It's like the tale of the monkey and the moon. That which shines in the eyes of the beast is but the moon reflected on water. You could try to capture it, but you only sink to the bottom. Your fangs will never reach me, ever." That's one of my favorite Bleach moments.
It goes hard.
That was such a raw moment. After just decimating Renji, he just dropped that on him like, yeah, sure, you know, you can try to reach me, but you'll sink. Your fangs can never ever reach me.
The Soul Society equivalent of L plus ratio plus no hose plus get a life plus touch grass.
Damn.
Just hit him with it out of nowhere.
And the next chapter, there's a really cool moment where in Ichigo training with Zangetsu and in this fight with Renji and Byakuya, they both rise up against their opponents, and it just shows like the line in the middle, like the parallel of both of them. That was a cool moment. And then we finally see he goes to continue fighting Byakuya, and as he finishes off Renji, like he beats him, he's like, "Congrats, Renji, your fangs finally managed to reach me," but he loses. He just flat out loses.
Bad. He loses bad.
Yeah. I remember this. Okay, so my notes state these are the next 2 notes that I have. Gin approaches Rukia on the bridge. Gin bullies the fuck out of Rukia, then dips.
True, he does.
This is a really funny section to me where Gin just he shows up to Rukia on the bridge, and it's just like, you know, you're about to be executed. I can help you out of here, you know. And she's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I could try to help you. I could break you out."
Like, what would happen, lol? Like, say I like kill these 2 guards, lol. Like, what would happen, lol? What if I kill these 2 guards and run away with you, lol?
And like the guards start freaking out. It's like, if I remember,
sir,
again. And then she's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Fuck no. Why would I do?"
Rolled.
remember, oh god, I think that was one of the hardest I laughed reading Bleach in some time, because Rukia was just so sad, and Gin was just like, alright, cool, later, and just dips.
It's also this funny scene. It's also a good show for Rukia's character, because after we learn the backstory with Kaien, right, we learn that Rukia is like, she doesn't view herself like a good person.
No.
She's like, I'm not a good person, right? And then she's like, I'm ready to die, right? I'm not a good person. Like I deserve this. I deserve to die. And then she comes through. She's like, I got Ichigo wrapped up in all this. Like, I shouldn't have done that. That was on me. That was my weakness. She's like, I deserve this. She's like, I'm ready to die. And then Gin comes through, and he's like, what if I save you, lol? Like, wouldn't that be crazy? Like, wouldn't that be like insane, lol? If I just killed these guards and ran away. And then she finds out again. She's like, I still have hope. She's like, I still want to live. And so like that was a big character moment for her, because she went from, on the bridge whenever she meets back up with Ichigo, why are you here? Why did you why are you here? Why are you putting yourself in harm's way for me again? Like, I want to die. Like, I want this. Like I don't want you to save me. This is her realizing, like, I want to be saved.
I want someone to save me.
I want to live. Like, I don't want to just give up. And she didn't realize it herself until this moment. Until Gin was like, wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy if I killed these guards?
Yeah, no, that as funny as the moment was, you're right. It was a good moment to showcase that character. Still, that just gets overshadowed by how absolutely funny it was reading that moment. It's not supposed to be a funny section. It's not, but it was hilarious to me reading that, where he's like, I could help you, lol. What if I just killed these guards and like let you go? And really? And you go, no.
Lol, you thought, nerd.
Oh man, okay, so now we move on to Kenpachi fighting Tozen and Komamura. Specifically, Kenpachi versus Tozen, because the Ikkaku and the other guy take the two assistant captains and go fight. So it's a 2v1 pretty much. But Komamura, as you do with the anime, you stand and watch your friend fight. I love this fight. At the beginning, Tozen explains to Kenpachi, like, you are like a monster. You are beyond redemption. That's what he says to him for me. Like, you are beyond redemption. And then we see Tozen bust out his Bankai, and oh my god, it's so broken.
It's a good power. It's a good Bankai.
Tozen's blind. Yeah, Tozen wears the blindfold. He's blind. So his power is, he makes this little area of effect, and it deprives you of majority of your senses.
All your senses.
Yeah. Oh, all of your senses. Yeah.
It's all of your senses.
Yeah. So you don't have any senses, and it's pretty terrifying to think of that. What would it be like to be deprived of your senses? But it doesn't matter to Kenpachi, because Kenpachi's so cool. Let's see.
He is so cool.
Hang on.
You have.
Well, sorry. Before that, before the fight continues, they start Rukia's execution, and then the guy, it's not Ikkaku, but it's the other guy that pursued Ganyu earlier.
Yeah. Yamauchi or whatever. I think it's Yamauchi. It's something like that.
He said, I'm going to pull out my real power now, so don't get mad. Don't tell anyone, okay? Because they're really mad at me, and that was the cliffhanger there. We'll probably find more about that later, or find out more about that later. But then, come back to the Kenpachi fight with Tozen. I love this moment so much. It's the moment where, I remember it exactly, Kenpachi's, he's managing to, he's deflecting Tozen's attack somehow, and Tozen's like, how is he moving? This guy's a beast. And Kenpachi's trying to think about what to do, and he's thinking, he's like, damn it, this is too hard. How did Ichigo do it? How would this guy do it? He's like, too much thinking. Thinking's bothering me. And he's like, wait a minute, I have the perfect plan. He just lets himself get stabbed. He's like, oh, hey, there you are, Tozen. And just bodies him.
And you find out whenever you touch Tozen, you get your senses back.
Yeah. So,
it's good. I really like that. I think it's a good power, and I think that Kenpachi's way to get around it is that's something Kenpachi would do.
It's a Kenpachi method of breaking out of a Kenpachi problem. Because he's deflecting the attacks. He's not struggling super hard, but he's like, damn it, I want to get out of this. This is annoying me. He's like, I got it. Shink just dad is like, oh hey, there you are. And then we get Tozen's backstory. I don't remember too many of the details. I remember there's a girl that he liked that was killed, and it was a sad backstory. And
Makes you understand his need for justice.
Yep, and like kind of ties into his ability to depriving senses. So as Kenpachi's about to kill Tozen, Komamura steps in and his helmet breaks, and it was really funny.
Dog man.
So for context, Kate got mad at me and he sent me this picture and he said like, Kyle, how dare you not tell me that there is a dog man in Bleach? I didn't know. This is the moment I found out where he stepped in to save him, helmet broke, it was dog man. I was like, oh my gosh, it's him. It's Komamura.
Technically I think he's a fox. I think he's a fox.
It was really funny to see. And then Komamura busts out his Bankai. It makes I just put like it's a giant knight or something. It was a giant board, and he's about to start fighting. And then there was too many things happening here, but I just grouped that all under everyone. Literally everyone starts making moves because the execution's about to begin.
Yeah,
like the fight, and them stop. Like everyone stops because the execution's about to start. Matsumoto. Who's Matsumoto again?
Matsumoto. Rangiku, I believe.
Why do I make this hard on myself? Why did I just put Rangiku? Rangiku and someone else help Renji after like he gets trounced. And then this is the final sequence. And I'm kind of conflicted. We see she's about to be executed. The execution spear becomes this giant flaming bird thing, right? It's got its sights set on Rukia. It goes to attack her, and we see Ichigo block the Sokyuko. Like the giant flaming bird form of it.
Yeah.
As cool as that is, I don't know how I feel about it.
But Kyle, it's badass.
Brandon, Ichigo is the embodiment of protagonist privilege here. I don't know, like I like as a character, I love Ichigo the character and Ichigo the fighter. I'm gonna separate as two different things here. The character of Ichigo is cool. Like his interactions with Rukia, where he's like, "I saved you," and Rukia's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, they just have like the comedic bit moments of like, "But I did all this to come save you," and they're just arguing, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's blocking the Sokyuko."
And like, he's like, has he held her yet? Where he's just like holding her under one arm?
I think so. If not, he destroys the execution scaffolding and like lands with her. I don't know how I feel about him blocking the Sokyuko because
I can't remember if there's a good explanation for that or not. I really can't. I mean, whenever I read the next part, I figure if there is one, it'll be there.
It has the power of a million. We're gonna quantify.
They were just exaggerating that, Kyle. It's just exaggeration.
Whenever you introduce numerical power scaling and it's inconsistent, it's whatever. Like the moment was cool. I'm not gonna take that away, but I am indifferent. It would have been different if he like destroyed the scaffolding and she fell and like the Sokyuko barely missed her, or like he grabbed her and like pulled her out of the way or something. But the fact that he blocks it like twice, I believe, and then does the breaking of the scaffolding to like get her out of her confinement, I am indifferent on that. Not indifferent. I dislike it. And that might be I dislike it as a moment. But
it's badass.
It again, that's the problem. There's some dissonance here. The moment itself is badass. The writing around, like surrounding this moment, is a little wonky.
But it's badass.
It was still. We're not gonna get anywhere because I'm gonna say something and go, but it's badass, and I can't disagree with you
because it is badass, and therefore it's good writing because that's how it works.
It's a Dragon Ball moment. It's cool, it's flashy, but the writing surrounding it doesn't work for me.
I can't remember if there's a reason as to why he's able to, or if he just doesn't. I figure reading the next section, I'll remember or not.
We'll find out. But yeah, that was the first half of the rescue part of the Soul Society arc. I feel really bad. Like I'm not just saying it because I have to, but I feel genuinely bad for as long as this is taken to talk about this recording. I like Bleach. I can't say like that it was or wasn't a disinterest, even though for a time it just reading Bleach didn't seem too appealing, but I didn't hate it. Like, I still like Bleach. This section was really fun, and it contained a lot of my favorite moments of the series so far. Kenpachi's a goated character. I like Ichigo as a character. This arc has also been interesting because Ichigo's done a lot, but he hasn't overshadowed any of the other cast members. It's like there's so many moving puzzle pieces. Kubo's obviously very confident with his writing. Give or take some like, as we said, like power scaling and like moments of just that shouldn't happen. But on the whole, I think Kubo is doing a great job handling how this arc has gone so far, with having as many moving pieces. Again, there are a lot of authors that just couldn't balance what he has. Because think about it, a lot of the main characters that went into rescue, all the captains, all the co-captains, all the other like characters alongside that, and there's some other ones that I'm missing too, but there's a lot of moving pieces on the board, and we're finally at like the climax. The execution got stopped, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I will set this as a promise now, as a resolution, if you will. I will be better with reading Bleach, since I'm very happy with what I read. I cannot wait to see the next bit. So
we have a good section coming up. I can't. So do you have one more? Do we have one more section of Soul Society or two? Because I can't remember how you broke them up for us to read.
It's one, cause
okay, that's what I thought. My favorite fight in Bleach is this next part, and like if you read Soul Society or seen, like, you know which fight I'm talking about. Like, it's my favorite fight in Bleach.
If I'm right, just tell me. Ichigo versus Byakuya.
Yeah, it's yeah. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great fight.
They've done a great, or not they. Kubo's done a great job building up to this moment. But yeah, how it's broken up. We just read 160 to 151. And next we have 152 to 183, which ends the Soul Society Rescue section.
Yeah, and then that's Soul Society, my favorite Bleach arc of the two that I've read.
Yeah, so do you have any more thoughts on this, like what we talked about now? Because I've given all my thoughts. I think this was pretty solid, pretty enjoyable. Some issues with the writing here or there, but everything's remained relatively consistent, and I'm happy with that, because I've heard people say Bleach goes downhill as it progresses. So yeah.
Funny Ichigo man swing sword good.
Awesome. So yeah, that's our discussion on the first half of the rescue part of the Soul Society arc.
If you're this far in the video, obviously there's something you like, so make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us how correct all of our opinions are. Going up next on the Goobers and Screens channel will be something. Maybe Bayonetta 3. I don't know. Probably, honestly. Book club might be back next Monday. I would say don't count on that. It maybe, maybe, but it will come out whenever it comes out. So we will not make any promises, and we will see you all then. Bye-bye.
Bye.